Hello, my name is Bridget McNulty. I'm the co-founder of Sweet Life Diabetes Community, and I'm here today with Professor Joel Dave, who's the head of endocrinology at Groote and UCT. I'm so excited to be here today because I'm hoping you can finally answer this one question I have. So I understand about the different kinds of insulin, long-acting, short-acting, ultra-long-acting. What I don't understand is the different types of insulin. So there's human and analog. Could you tell us the difference between those, please?
Sure, thank you, Bridget, and thanks very much for the invitation. I'm also excited to be here, and it's an exciting year because this year we're celebrating 100 years of insulin. So there are three main types of insulin. There's animal insulin, there's human insulin, and then there's also analog insulin.
Okay.
The very first insulins were extracts of from the pancreas of animals, mostly pigs and cows. And that's sort of what Banting and Best used.
Okay.
Then later on, as molecular techniques improved, we were able to synthesize exact copies of human insulin in the laboratory, and that was then used to make insulin exactly the same as human insulin.
Okay.
And then later on, and now, as we've got to understand biochemistry better and techniques improved, we're now able to fiddle with the amino acid sequence of insulin, changing amino acids to develop these insulin analogs. And it's quite interesting because just by changing one amino acid of insulin, you can completely change its characteristics.
And so is it as simple as analog insulins are better than human insulins, or are they just different kinds of products?
I think we're lucky to have access to both human insulin and analog insulin. Analog insulin's obviously the more modern and more fashionable insulin, but there's no doubt that human insulin, there's a big place for in certain people living with diabetes who do better. We're lucky to have access to all of them because now we can really individualize patient care.
And is human insulin the one that's largely available in state care, or is analog also available in state care?
So the state sector is quite different in different parts of the country. There's a disparate access. But certainly what I can talk for in the Western Cape, mainly for people living with type 2 diabetes, we have access to the human insulins. And for those with people living with type 1 diabetes, we do have access to analog insulin, although it is restricted to being written up by an endocrinologist.
Okay, which is sometimes a challenge to get your way to an endocrinologist, I imagine.
Yeah, I think it's important for those who are accessing their healthcare in the public sector to know that with the human insulins, one can still achieve excellent diabetes control. And that's what it's all about, using human insulin.
And is that for type 2 and type 1, or is there a difference?
Well, with both. Generally, people living with type 1 diabetes are more prone to more severe hypoglycemic episodes. And the data does show that using human insulins, you're more likely to experience a hypoglycemic episode. So if you are someone living with type 1 diabetes, it would be preferable to have access to analog insulins. But in saying that, one can still get excellent control using the human insulins.
That makes sense. And then last question, why does it matter? Why does individualized care matter? Why does the right insulin matter?
We all know that people's metabolism, people's response to certain foodstuffs is different. So it's completely individualized, their response to certain things that they eat, as is their response to different insulins. And so I think having a wide spectrum of insulin that you can really match to the individual characteristics of the patient is very important. And I think now we have the pharmaceutical industry to thank. We have access to multiple different types of insulin, from short-acting, long-acting, ultra-long-acting, and premixes that we can adapt to someone's lifestyle.
And of course, the whole point of this is that it leads to improved quality of life, right? So the right insulin can help you to live a healthy, happy life with diabetes.
100%, Bridget. I'm glad you brought that up because too often we focus on just diabetes control at the expense of quality of life, but quality of life is critical. And luckily now, with access to all these different types of insulin, one is now able to achieve both good diabetes control and good quality of life.
The scales.
Exactly, the balance. Free of hypoglycemic episodes, or a vast reduction in the numbers of hypoglycemic episodes.
Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to Professor Joel Dave from UCT and Groote Schuur for being with us today. And we look forward to seeing you again next time.